Hey, everybody. Guess what? It's time for Splintered Grace. I'm Tina Frank. I'm a mature Christian woman here to have a conversation with Bonnie Violet.
Hi everyone, Bonnie Violet here. I am a transgender queer spiritual drag artist and digital chaplain, and I am coming in from Deep Creek, Maryland.
Wow. Sounds like a mouthful.
Right. And I hope that our connection stays well this evening. If for whatever reason, just to give folks a heads up, if things go a little wonky, we'll do our best to keep going, and you might lose me for a bit, but Tina will do her best to keep it going.
Hopefully. Yeah, well, I'll do my best.
So how you been?
I've been good. I had a good week. Hanging out. I got to see a couple of my kids this week. Got to make some shirts for a wedding for one of our friends coming up. So that's always a lot of fun. Yeah, was nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet,
How
sweet,
about
sweet.
you? You've been hanging out in a cabin, it sounds like, having great fun.
Yeah, we're at a lake house, and so we're just like a hop, skip, and a jump to the lake.
Nice.
And I've never been much of a lake person. Actually, I've only been on a lake once before, but I've been out on the lake almost every day, and we've been here for
Wow.
almost a week now, so it's been really great.
Do you get
Um,
seasick?
no, I didn't. The most I got was a little sunburnt, which is why I'm wearing the hoodie to cover all my little my pink parts, I guess.
That's funny.
Kayla is saying aloha. Hey, Kayla,
Hey,
how's it
Kayla.
going? Glad that you could join us again. And we have Herding Cats for you as well.
Hey,
Hey,
nice to
Herding.
have
So
you
great to
back.
see you both. Glad you could join us. Yes, I'm saying a little prayer on the connection.
Is it telling you that it's not strong?
Yeah, it's just like one little bar. Usually that's not a
Ah,
good sign, but what are you going to do? What are you going to
we'll, we'll do the best we can.
do? Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, it's been a really great time. It's been great spending time with Marcus and
Yeah,
getting to know his family, who it's just been really fantastic.
I'm so glad. I can't wait to see the pictures.
Yeah, yeah, you're gonna have to talk to Marcus because I probably will not give any of those away freely.
Oh, all right. Well, I will definitely talk to Marcus and see if he can maybe put some up there on our Facebook page. That would be amazing.
Yeah, maybe for that.
Take one for the team, Bonnie.
That's right, that's right. Um,
So, hey, what do we have going on this week?
Well, so this week, I'm still playing with the mouse and the elephant and all that fun stuff. And so in talking with my therapist a while back, when I mentioned about the mouse and the elephant, he was like, "Oh, do you mean the blind man and the elephant?" And I was like, no, but what's that?" And so then I looked it up. And so I thought we would use that as a topic for this week. I actually do have a little video for folks who maybe aren't aware of the story. So if you're listening, you can listen to it. If you're watching, you get to watch it. And then we'll talk a little bit about it once it's done. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, let's do it then. And here we go.
There were 6 blind men who grew up in a village in India, and the community kept them safe and shared with them many stories. The men were curious about many of the stories they heard, but they were most curious about elephants. Based on the stories that each of them had heard, they argued about what elephants must be like. The community grew tired of these arguments and arranged for the men to visit the palace, where they were greeted by an old friend from their village who worked as a gardener on the palace grounds. Their friend led them to the courtyard. There stood an elephant. The blind men stepped forward to touch the creature that was the subject of so many arguments. The first blind man reached out and touched the side of the huge animal. "An elephant is smooth and solid like a wall," he declared. "It must be very powerful." The second blind man put his hand on the elephant's limb or trunk. "An elephant is like a giant snake," he announced. The third blind man felt the elephant's pointed tusk.
I was right, he decided. This creature is as sharp and deadly as a spear.
The fourth blind man touched one of the elephant's four legs. What we have here, he said, is an extremely large cow. The fifth blind man felt the elephant's giant ear.
I believe an elephant is like a huge fan, or maybe a magic carpet that can fly over mountains and treetops,
he said. The sixth blind man gave a tug on the elephant's coarse tail. Why, this is nothing more than a piece of old rope. Dangerous indeed, he scoffed. The gardener led his friends to the shade of a tree. Sit here and rest for the long journey home, he said. I will bring you some water to drink. While they waited, the six blind men talked about the elephant.
An elephant is like a wall, said the first blind man. Surely we can finally agree on that.
A wall? An elephant is a giant snake, answered the second blind man.
It's a spear, I tell you,
insisted the third blind man. I'm certain it's a giant cow, said the fourth blind man.
Magic carpet, there's no doubt,
said the fifth blind man. Don't you see, pleaded the sixth blind man. Someone used a rope to trick us. Their argument continued, and their shouts grew louder and louder. Wall!
Snake! Spear!
Cow!
Carpet!
Rope! Stop shouting, called a very angry voice. It was the Rajah, awakened from his nap by the noisy argument. How can each of you be so certain you are right? Asked the ruler. The six blind men considered the question, and then, knowing the Rajah to be a very wise man, they decided to say nothing at all. The elephant is a very large animal, said the Rajah kindly. Each man touched only one part. Perhaps if you put the parts together, you will see the truth. Now, let me finish my nap in peace.
Good story.
Had you heard of the story before?
Not until you had shared it with me.
I hadn't heard it either. How do you think it's relevant to us, or is it?
I think it is, because I think we all have unique perspectives based on our own experience and understanding and what we perceive to be in front of us. So yeah, I think it's very relevant.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm bringing these little things, like trying to force I don't know, like sorry if it's feeling awkward or weird.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I think I think for me, what it goes is and I think it's something that we're all fairly aware of, I think, is that, we all might know, I mean, we all might know one part of something, and it might even be true. It might even not be true. But it's not necessarily, you know what I mean? And so we can argue about it or not, I guess.
Right. Well, I thought it was interesting that they chose blind men for this analogy. Sight is a perceptor. Had each of them seen and had a sight perceptor, it may have been it would have been for sure a different outcome of the whole. But I still think they would have all had a different perspective based on their background or experience. So,
Gotcha.
so I think there's a couple levels of discussion here if we want to go there.
So just in the sense that even if the individuals who were talking about an elephant weren't blind, they still would have a very maybe different ways in which they would talk about the elephant and the characteristics of the elephant and that sort of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I think they could probably relate to different characteristics based on their experiences. Someone who's looking for strength would see a lot of strength there, maybe. A mouse. We know a mouse can destroy an elephant by running up its trunk. So, there would be a different perspective there. So I think if we can see or if we can't see, we all have a unique perspective that we bring to the table.
Mm. Yeah, and even and like I guess even with the like because they had never seen an elephant before
Right.
at all. So I think it would also, I'm wondering, kind of in thinking about my experience, did I maybe see an elephant and then not see an elephant in the sense of my spirituality, or I think of God, in the sense
Mhm.
of like I thought I knew this elephant, let's say. I
Okay.
knew what it was, I knew what God was, I knew it was all what it was all about, and then life happened, and maybe I don't know if losing sight is something I want to say, but maybe gaining new sight or a different vision, if you will, then I started to see things a little bit differently. And maybe it's the same thing, but I don't know, but it's different. And like you and I think we had more of a agreement, if you will. And then it kind of changed at some point in time because of maybe our experience with different parts of God, let's say, or like how we interact with God, or what we've come to understand about um, purpose of life, and all that fun stuff, all that really easy stuff to talk about and ponder about and pray about.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we can perceive from here. So I feel like there's some definite conversations that you want to have. I'm willing to have those conversations. Is there something in particular that this story brought to your mind that you're wondering about? Because I'm happy to share.
Well, I think in light of, I mean, we both are very, like we both are very grounded in our spirituality, and
Mhm.
our seeking of maybe more understanding and being in alignment with God, higher power, creator, whatever, all those sorts of things. And yet we might have, I guess, different ways of doing it, which again, we've talked, we've talked about a lot.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know, it's like after our last conversation, and kind of I had that realization of like, I was kind of like, okay with you believing whatever you wanted except for this one thing for some
Mhm.
reason. And it was like once I kind of let that go and realized, that doesn't really matter, then to some degree it's like, okay, that stuff doesn't matter, but would it still be kind of fun to talk about? Well, what are we interested in talking about more specifically if it doesn't if it doesn't um matter in the sense, I guess, that
It,
not that it doesn't matter, but it's not like
it's not going to change our relationship.
exactly, it's not like gonna be, it's not like we're I guess punching each, like we're I don't know, we're hitting, you know what I mean, like we're not being impacted by the other ones,
Yeah, well,
at least I'm not.
we're not trying to change each other. We're willing to just love each other where we're at, and pray for one another. I mean, at the
Mhm.
end of the day, that's what we can do. I can't change you. You can't change me. If there's a change that needs to take place, that's in my. I believe that's God's doing. It's
Yeah,
not for me to change you or for you to change me. And I think that seeking, these guys didn't have to show up over there. They could have said, "No, I don't want to see the elephant. I don't want to
right.
touch the elephant. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just going to believe what I'm going to believe, and y'all will just argue for the rest of our lives." They could have chose that, but they went, and I feel like we've decided to come. We've decided to come to
Mm,
the table. We've decided to bring our perspectives. We've decided to lay them down and trust God with the outcome of who we are. But we want to be in relationship. And
mm,
so I'm going to love you where you're at. You're going to love me where I'm at. We're going to choose to do life together. And if God changes us in the process, yay. If he doesn't, yay.
right.
It's a win. So that's kind of my perspective. You know, I don't know if
What?
that's right or wrong, but that's how I see it. I pray for you every day. I care about what happens to you every day. Am I worried about you wandering around the world? Yes. I pray for you. I know I know I shouldn't, because God's going to take care of you.
Right.
But but I do. So those are all things that you can't change no matter if you agree with me or not. So
Right.
just like for you, if you have any of those things that you do for me, I can't change those things no matter if I'm mad at you, agree with you, disagree with you, whatever. None of that stuff matters.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of noticed also like the guy at the end that was like, "Shh, keep it down. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to sleep." Like I'm like
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people in my life
Yeah.
that I feel sometimes that I'm just like they're like, "Girl, just go to sleep." Like who like I don't know, just let me be or whatever. It's
Yeah.
I think I felt that way too, right? It's like just let me live my life. Don't come at me with like whatever. It's not something we need to fight about, you know?
It's really not. It's really not. There's going to be a lot of things that we're going to disagree with one another, with other people, but that doesn't change that God created us to be in relationship together.
Mhm.
If He didn't, we wouldn't be in the same family.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I figure one of my first steps to honoring who God created me to be is to honor the relationships and the people that He's put in my life. They
Mhm.
always say you have a family or people you don't get to choose, friends or your family that you get to choose. Hmm. I don't know. That makes me a little uneasy because I think the family are the people that are intentionally put in our lives to help us to move toward our purpose.
Mm.
Those friendships that we have along the way can enhance that, or they could steer us away from that, depending on how we let those influences
Mm.
align with us. So
Yeah, it can be really
you're
tough because
stuck
I
with me, Bonnie. That's it.
well, and it's interesting because we don't get to choose our family, and I think sometimes being in relationship with families or family members is probably not healthy, and it could be toxic and maybe not even safe. So I think it's like, I think that's like a real thing to consider or to think about. But I think also like one of the things that I've been looking at is kind of like because regardless of somebody else's behavior to some degree, there are some situations where, violence or, those like that's more out of your control, right?
Hmm.
But I like for me, the way that I get to try to be okay if I choose to be okay with people. Or one of the things that I was noticing is that there in a way I was like kind of like we talked about last week, like I was being hurt by something that I was in like I was control of or like I was like allowing kind of to happen
Hmm.
because and it wasn't about like, oh, so and so can say this, but the way that it impacts me is in my control. And
Exactly.
And that was something that I think a lot of us do. And I think it's very easy for us to do with family members, or maybe even if it's bosses or like other
Mhm.
people that there's these certain roles where, it feels a little bit harder to not give them that power or to understand, or at least for me to know what my power actually is in that particular situation or circumstance.
Yeah, I totally get it. I spent a lot of my life worried about that kind of stuff, and
I, s-
I just decided not to anymore.
I,
Go ahead.
s- I saw Kayla put a period. I don't know if that meant period to what we were saying, or maybe
Oh,
there's more. I'm not sure, but
I
maybe
thought we
Kayla.
just couldn't read the writing. It was white or something.
No, yeah, I wasn't for sure either once I till
Yeah,
I put it on the screen. But
that's funny. So I learned a long time ago that I get to respond. I get to manage those things that come at me in a positive or negative way, however I want to.
hmm
I also got to choose that I can choose to still love this person or not. And so I always take that into consideration before I get offended because I've decided over the years that I am not going to be offended. End of story. I believe that every interaction that I have with people is intentional. It's ordained. It's part of my opportunity to become a better human being. And so I want to take every one of those interactions, positive or negative, into consideration. And I want to respond the best of my ability correctly.
hmm
Now, people can say rude things to me, and I can choose to fight back. Why would I do that? in my experience, that just fuels whatever it is that's already infuriated them. And a lot of times it's not even furious at me. They're just furious at a title that I chose to carry. It's not even about who I am as a person. It's about a title I chose to carry. So why would I fuel that? Um, I can also choose to continue pursue that person in a kind, loving way or not. People close to me, my family, I'm going to pursue that in a kind, loving way because I believe that family is meant to be together. Now, someone physically smacks me, I may not. I
Yeah.
may not go to your house. I may go to a family reunion and say hello, but I'm not going to go to your house for dinner. And I'm certainly going to send you a Christmas card still. I'm certainly going to pray for you still, but I'm not going to give you that opportunity to physically hurt me again.
Mm.
But I don't know. Life's too short. I think people are valuable. All people are valuable. And if there is something I can say or do to encourage someone to be the amazing creature they've been created to be, or the amazing person they've been created to be, man, I want to do that.
Right.
Go ahead and yell at me. I don't care. I got pretty thick skin over the years. I choose to not be offended. Sometimes it's hard not to be offended, but I just try to walk it out. And sometimes I have to take a deep breath, disappear for a day or two, work through that whatever thing that just got me, and then come back at it. But yeah. Anyway, side road.
No, it's good. And Kayla says, in some circumstances, power is also knowing your value. And I think for me that was the key part, was not, again, not understanding my power or my value in a particular circumstance, or feeling
Mhm.
less than, right?
Yeah.
Um, is kind of oftentimes what it comes down to, at least for me. And that was the stuff. It's like, okay, I might not fight you, but I'm going to, like, I would be offended in my head and with myself and my experience with that. Like, I would be bothered by it, and I still am. And so I think when you've often said, like, I don't get offended, and I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, right. um, because I was still but I understand um, how like I can work toward that as well, because I feel like over the last year or so, I have uh, been able to see, maybe as Kayla says, more of my own value. I've been able to understand the power that I've given people, um, that they don't even really know about half the time, or you know what I mean.
Mhm.
And so in doing that, I'm not getting offended as much. But to be honest with you, I feel like, and I don't, again, it's like these have tos, but for whatever reason, I came, or am coming, to that understanding and that way of being through, unfortunately, being offended or hurt or harmed to the point where I had no other choice but to, like, get rid of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Mhm.
because I could not, I couldn't, I couldn't not let it hurt me anymore. Like, I had to find a way to stop being hurt by it.
Yeah.
And I was being hurt by it even when I wasn't in the same room with people. You know what I mean? And that was
Yeah.
something I also had to come to realize too. And oftentimes it was worse, actually, it was actually better once it wasn't as bad once we were in the same room.
Yeah. It's amazing how we allow offense of it gives it's control over us. When we
Hmm.
allow someone to offend us, we're actually giving control of ourselves over to them because they're dictating how we respond. I've in my past, I've been offended to the point where I wouldn't go places that I wanted to go because this person who offended me might be there and they might say something to me
Mm,
or whatever. And I'm just done. I was just decided I'm done giving up that kind of and I'm not going to be mean to them because I
mm,
realized, you know what? Maybe they've got an issue they're trying to deal with and I just seem to be the closest target to make them feel better.
right.
And so I'm deciding to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Well, and
And go ahead.
yeah. No, one of the things that, I'm sorry, that was just kept like going through my head is that, like, I mentally knew that. So like, if people are like struggling with, like, I knew that, like, I got it, I understood it, but my emotions like took over, and my
Yeah.
feelings or whatever, just like they just took over. And I I think that's something that maybe has been part of my healing is to be able to I guess deal with those emotions more,
Mm,
or
yeah.
to not like I don't know, I think that's part of it. Maybe even to just even go through some of those emotions, rather than kind of, I think I avoided a lot of that stuff for so long that it kind of built up a little bit. Kayla says, yes, exactly. Stop letting them have free rent in your head.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes, yes. I know, right? Because they don't even know they're there
A
either.
lot of times
Like,
they have no clue.
yeah, and I hear it all the time, and I've like, it's just like with a lot of things, you just come to, for me, I come to understand like a whole nother level or layer of the exact same thing. It's
Yeah.
just like somehow I see it broader or deeper or bigger in some
Yeah.
ways. Dominique says it's like the pieces can't make themselves whole.
That's a true statement.
Mm, yes. That makes me think of, I think we're always whole. I don't think we ever break, and we're not ever separate. And that's just like however, we experience being broken. We experience being in pieces because that's how we see it, right? But
Hmm.
I think the truth is that we're always whole. Just like in the sense that like we're always in God's, we're always in God's care, and we're all connected always. And we can pretend that we're not connected, that what I do doesn't impact you, that doesn't impact you, doesn't impact you. Or I can acknowledge the fact that, oh, actually we are connected, and try to honor and respect that, rather than trying to like, in this, I guess in the process of doing that as well, it's just a much better experience.
Hmm. That's
Do you know
that's
what I
that's
mean?
good
Like,
insight. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So my wholeness comes from my relationship with God. And I feel like I'm complete in Him and Him alone. And
Mm,
that pursuit for me is finding those areas that He hasn't been able to fully reveal Himself to me yet.
mm, yeah. And Dominique says, agreed, but society cuts us up. And I think society, the world does, but I think also part of it comes down to like, are we going to let them cut us up as individuals?
Yeah.
I think that's, for me, something that's been more of like what I'm trying to understand, and that's just what comes to mind when you say that, Dominique. I don't mean to be like arguing with you. What came to me was just um, that I'm not going to let myself be created by that which cuts me. Like, I'm not going to let that which cuts me like separate me anymore. I'm going to heal it, and I'm going to, kind of move on. I'm not going to, I feel like I can't completely keep it from happening, but I feel like I know what to do
Hey,
with it.
we can't manage other people's actions. The only thing we can manage, like we talked about already, is how we respond to it.
Great. Do you want to read Kayla's?
Sure. Kayla says sometimes our self talk also makes the situation worse. Oh, that is so true. Some people can make us offended a lot. And if we let it happen before they even say something to us, we are building up our defense in our head and ready for a battle that isn't even there. That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah,
That's true.
you're looking for the problem, or
Yeah.
like it's like, I remember I was dating this guy, I won't say who, just for his sake. um, but I was really struggling with him. We were struggling with each other, probably. I was struggling with him, and I was doing everything I could to like fix our relationship. Like, I was just like, I really wanted to make it work, and I felt like, putting so much energy into this. And I remember we were at dinner one night, not too long before we broke up, and we were at dinner, and he said, you know what? You're half-assed in this relationship. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm putting so much work into that. Like, I am the one trying to like make us work. And then I was like, yeah, but if you're worried about the two of you, like if I'm focused on us instead of focused on me, and then I can bring my best self to the situation. I am half-assing it. I'm only bringing part of myself. I'm only bringing the part of myself that's looking for the problems in
Mm.
him or the relationship, instead of like bringing my best self to the table. And then that allows me to be in a place to say, you know what? No, I don't think this relationship isn't working for me. Sorry, but and that's basically kind of what happened. I was shocked. He was like, in that moment, he's not somebody I was expecting to get such wisdom from, which was maybe quite the statement to say, but I was really shocked by it. And once I like really thought about it, I was, oh, wait, you're totally right.
Yeah. That's good. That's good insight.
Yes.
Relationships are hard. Family relationships, marital relationships, boyfriend and girlfriend friendships. Relationships are hard. They're demanding on us, but I think we're made to be relational on purpose. Like you said, we're connected. We're relational on purpose, and it's that ability to grow from the relationship encounters that we have that moves us forward. I'm not the same person I was. My poor husband's we've been married 20 years, and he's been probably married to 10 different women in 20 years. He never knows. He comes home, he's like, okay, what do we have today? So it's not that bad anymore. But for a long time, I'm really surprised that we're still married. I'm grateful because he's awesome, but it took us. It takes time and effort. And one of the things that I had to do, and I use the word fast because it's a quick word for me to check myself. Negative thoughts. Anytime I had a negative thought about my husband, I'm like, oh, nope, I'm fasting all those negative thoughts. I'm not going to speak that negative. And then I'd make myself speak a positive. So audibly, so that I could overcome that negative thought. Even if it was true, I was not going to give it any room in my head. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to speak negative. This is the guy that I chose to do life with. He agreed and seems to be showing up every day. Even if I don't think he's showing up the way I want him to, he's showing up every day. So I'm not going to be negative. I'm going to turn that to a positive, and I'm going to work really hard to see those reasons why I decided that he was the one anyway.
Kayla,
and it was a game changer for me.
Kayla says, oh, I like that. Kayla also says, congrats on 20 years.
Oh, thanks. We are very excited. We feel like newlyweds still.
Right. And somebody on on Twitch is wanting to make us famous.
Oh.
LOL. It's just spam. It's just spam.
I was gonna say yay. Like, wow.
Right. 20 years.
I know. I'm not old enough to be married 20 years, especially for my second marriage. Oh my goodness.
It's well, yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable to think that we've been able to do anything for 20 years, right?
I know. Exactly.
Yeah, I was like, the other day, it was like realizing that early 2000s was like 20 years ago, which
Oh my gosh. I know. What are you saying?
I know. And yeah, it's crazy.
One of my kids turns 33 tomorrow.
Ooh, she's in her Jesus year.
Yeah, she is.
Her Jesus year. Sabra?
Sabra. Oh,
Sabra, yeah.
Good memory. Good memory.
It was a lucky grab from the sky. Well, it's hard to believe that they've gotten older too,
Oh my goodness. None of all of my kids are over 30. What just happened? I'm not old enough to have kids over 30.
Well, you are. But
I don't feel like I am.
Yes. Yeah, well, and you're young and you already have your kids out of the house, and now you have grandkids and
Yep. I'm still young enough to go kayaking, which is what I'm doing this weekend.
Oh, are you?
Yes, I am going kayaking this weekend with my honey and some friends. So yes, so you're right. I am young enough to still have fun.
Oh, right. Oh, kayaking. Yeah. I've been, I mentioned earlier, like I've been on a lake. I think I've only been on a lake or like in water like this only one time in my life that I can recall. And I normally haven't been, I don't enjoy water. especially like rivers, lakes. I don't enjoy being in the water. I don't enjoy water sports.
Yeah.
And mostly it's like the cold and all that I don't like. But I like told myself like, stop. Again, stop with those
Those,
things and
yeah.
give it a try.
And you had a great time, right?
I've had a really great time. I've gotten some bumps and bruises and some burns,
Yeah.
but it's been really great. I also learned how to like tie knots and it's just been really like I remember like there's been plenty of times when I've just like been sitting in the boat and like, oh my gosh, like this is really cool, and
Yeah.
I think there are times in my life when I would have thought that was like not, I don't know, like it didn't matter or it wasn't a good use of time or something. And it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, this is great. I understand why people do it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Um,
Boats make me a little bit, nauseous. So I'm hoping the kayak will be better.
yeah, I haven't had that problem with like being on the boat. It's been really great.
That's awesome.
I expected for, something, but no, it's been a really good time. Uh, Kayla says, I am young enough to still have fun, but definitely not in any shape to kayak. Plus, there there are no bathrooms on a kayak. That's true.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And so, yeah, it'll be a first. Well, not a first. I've been in a kayak. It's been years ago, but we have some friends that have been kayaking, and they're in our age group. And they invited us up, and they said, "You guys want to go kayaking?" I'm like, "No rapids, please." So we're just going to kayak around the lake. But I think it'll be fun. I'm looking forward. I'm like, okay, kayaks are pretty skinny. Kayla, I'm not little any stretch of my either. So I don't know if I have to order if there's a size involved or what. But I will tell you next week how this goes and if I get flipped over and ever go kayaking again.
Well, you're in good hands. Will you be sharing a kayak with your hubby?
Nope, we're
Or will
gonna
you be
have
separate?
individual kayaks. Yeah.
Nice.
So
That
I think it'll be fun.
yeah. Kayla says, I'm of the age when you walk past the bathroom, you say, well, I might as well while I'm here. LOL.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now I'm gonna ask them if there's any bathrooms even at the
You're
on
like,
the
where do I
eggs
go?
somewhere. Yeah, is there a bathroom? I'm gonna go before I get in this boat.
They're like, there's a little cup or there's a little hose.
Oh, jeez.
Hose, yeah.
That's
Oh
probably what
boy.
they'll say. Well, there's a little hole in the bottom of the kayak. It's like,
Right?
no, thank you.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's so fun. Well, we are like 40 minutes in, so
Ah,
I know it went
I can't
quick.
believe it. Time went by.
So we just have five more minutes to kind of begin to wind her down.
I thought you were gonna say something else.
What did you think I was gonna say? No, what did you think?
Never mind. Anyway.
Okay, you'll have to tell me after the show, I guess.
I'll tell you after.
Oh, I want to know now. I'm sure our listeners want to know too.
Nope, you're not going to play that role. I mean, nope. So where are you headed next, Bonnie?
I mean, next week when we get on, I will be in DC. I'll actually be in like awnings, Hill or something like that. It's just 30 minutes outside of DC. So I will be coming in from there.
Oh, cool.
We go back to Baltimore on Saturday, and then Monday, I will head to the DC area to spend some time with my friends Anthony and Kaylin.
That is awesome. Are you going to be flying or driving?
We'll be driving. It's like not far. I guess like this place is also kind of a suburb of Baltimore. So like on the East Coast, everything is like super, super close. So
yeah, see, I don't know my way around the East Coast much.
I don't either, but it feels like you just like, I don't know, trip and you're like in another state. Like everything is just so, especially like in this area.
Yeah.
Like I think a few minutes you're in West Virginia or in Maryland now,
Wow.
So I think everything's relatively close.
That's awesome. Are you going to do any sightseeing while you're in DC?
I'll do a little bit. I know I'm gonna go get my nails done with Anthony,
Fun.
and then like next weekend I'm with some people. We're hosting that recovery conference that
Oh,
we've been
yeah.
working on for a year. So that's over Labor Day weekend. So that weekend I'll pretty much probably just be stationed since it's a virtual
That's awesome.
conference. Yeah. So
So, speaking of conferences, if someone wanted to book you for a conference or for a speaking engagement,
mhm.
is that something that you're going to be doing while you're traveling around?
Yeah, I'm always open to that. Actually spoke with an individual earlier this afternoon, just before we came on, who she actually reached out to me. She wants to have me on her show. She also wants
Awesome.
to I can't think the name of the organization right now, but I'll be sure to share it. But they're going to have me on their show. They're also going to share a queer chaplain on part of their research or their
Fabulous.
resource arm for they're like a non-pro LGBTQ. Well, it's not LGBT. It's mostly like femme focused, kind of queer femme focused LGBTQ center. I'm totally chopping this up. I should have like
Ah,
looked into it a little bit more. But basically, they want me to. We're going to collab a little bit after do the podcast. Maybe I'm going to moderate maybe some panel discussions and stuff with them, and
cool.
I don't know, they're going to have a magazine soon, so maybe we'll be able to do some writing or something. But it sounds like there's a lot of really great opportunities. So I'm definitely like, that's something I'm really hoping that will happen.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
put a
awesome.
I put together like a little promo on my Instagram and stuff with like the tour, if you will, of all the places I would like to hit over the next few months. My hope is to get folks in those areas to say, hey, I'd like to talk with you and have you interview me about my drag persona and my spirituality, or my transness and spirituality, or I'd like you to come talk to my church or my church group or my I don't know, my support group, any of that sort of stuff, either while I'm
That's
in the
awesome.
area, or even I can do it virtually too, because I know like a lot of places are closing back up again, or
Yeah, I've been hearing that.
um, definitely limiting their in-person kind of space again. So I'm willing to kind of work with whatever works with folks, but I'm really hoping to continue to do more and more of whatever,
Whatever this
God,
looks like, that's
whatever
awesome.
God wants me to do, would have me do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm excited for you. I'm praying for you. And yeah, I can't wait till next week when I get to see what's happening in DC. Oh my
And
goodness.
it'll feel like I know it's like time
I know.
lapses.
I know. I know. It's like what just happened?
Right. And how's things going? Are you doing a Bible study right now?
I am. If you want to go out to I identify as Christian,
Mhm.
that's my group that I have. I'm hosting, or my friend actually is hosting, allowing me to teach on the Book of John. So
Awesome.
it's been fun. We have a pretty good group there. We're only on chapter 12, so you're not late. We're going to go through the whole book. So however long that takes. So you
Great.
come and
And
go.
so
It's
you're
online.
open to the public? Anyone can come?
Absolutely. Yep,
Awesome.
absolutely. If you have questions about anything but before you jump in, just let me know. It's a Zoom meeting, but all that information is out there on my Facebook group.
Yep. So always feel free to reach out to either of us. We have lots of cool
Yes,
stuff going on, and we'd love to be involved with your cool stuff too. I don't know what that was, but it
that's
was a
all
thing.
good.
All right. Do you want to send us off?
Sure. You guys have a fabulous week. Think about us through the week, as we're always thinking about you guys. And again, reach out to us. We are available to answer questions, have conversations, and just, I don't know what, be in your cool stuff, as Bonnie said. So have a fabulous week.
All right. Love you all. Bye-bye. Splintered Grace Podcast is brought to you by a queer chaplain. Follow us on all of our social medias, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at A Queer Chaplain. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe, comment, like, and share.
Feel free to tip us at Venmo, Bonnie Violet, and support monthly on Patreon. The song is original by Steven Sandnoff, The Chasm Between Us. Rest in peace, Steven.